What's happening, everybody? My name is Matt. Welcome back to the channel. And folks, I know it's been a rough past few days, but I wanted to give you guys some clarification, hopefully some peace in today's video about Solana NFTs and talk about whether or not I think Solana NFTs are going to die anytime soon and what you guys could probably expect to see within the next 3 to 6 months. So if you guys are new and that sounds like something you'd be interested in, make sure to drop a like and watch the video till the end, folks. We have a lot to cover. Okay, so the first thing to discuss, obviously, is the fact that crypto as a whole has been taking an absolute bath recently. I think you guys know this, but especially if you're in the NFT scene, a lot of people might wonder how that actually affects your floors and how that affects the overall NFT community in general. Well, first off, when crypto takes a dip, NFTs tend to, for the most part, work inversely, as in once crypto goes down just a little bit, NFTs will pump just a little bit. But this only works up until a point. Once crypto heads down so much, NFTs are eventually going to head down as well, as people just lose faith in the ecosystem as a whole and decide to sell some profits. But what is intriguing here is that when we take a look at the market as a whole, Solana has been doing incredibly well. You guys will note that on the week here right now, and again, this could vary depending on when you're watching this video, but Solana is sitting a little above 30 bucks. That's amazing, actually, given what we have been seeing so far. So we are actually up 12% on the week for Solana. With other projects like Bitcoin and Ethereum, we are down 20%. So Solana almost took its dive a little bit earlier. If we are to look, of course, at the actual data for Solana here over the past month, you guys can see we took our dive probably a little bit sooner than perhaps some of the other tokens, but it did make the crash that we are experiencing now just a little less brutal. So, all right, Matt, you said enough about the coins. Where exactly do NFTs relate to this? How do NFTs change in the future based off of what is going on now with the current price? Well, there are a few sort of issues I think most people know that Solana has going for it. Obviously, network congestion and sort of the inability to complete transactions during a very crowded time on the network can be a big concern for some people. But before we go any further, guys, let's talk a little bit about my Patreon. I have worked tirelessly to make this the best NFT group out there. By joining my Patreon, you guys get literally an insane amount of content. You'll get a custom Discord role, direct access to me in a DM, full access to Matt's NFT dojo, crypto and altcoin trade signals, access to my exclusive NFT watch list, whitelist opportunities, priority access to my live streams, and so much more. To be honest with you guys, I think it's a steal for only $10 a month. And of course, if you guys would like to talk to me over voice in a voice call, you guys could always join the Emerald and above tier, which has that offered. Currently, there are hundreds of people joining the Patreon every month, and they absolutely love it. Link down below in the description. But as you guys can see here, you guys will note that there has been a massive fix recently for the Solana network that has made it ridiculously fast, and once all the validators adopt the new 1.10 update, basically in layman's terms, it is going to make the transaction speed a lot faster and hopefully prevent the network from crashing as much. However, we've also been seeing some challenges arise, including the fact that the Solana-based protocol SolEnd actually voted to temporarily control the largest whale's account to mitigate liquidation risks. Now, if that sounds like Chinese to you, don't worry, I'll make it very simple. Essentially what happened here is Solana proved itself to be a little bit more centralized than it should be. So they found this whale's account, said, oh my goodness, he has a ridiculous amount of Solana that he's planning on selling all at once. How are we going to fix this? Because obviously, if the guy sold it all at once, the network would crash. So essentially, what went down here is that the whale account had an extremely large margin position, which was essentially posing a threat to on-chain liquidation. So the amount of liquid that was available, the amount of actual Solana that is available out there in the world, this guy was holding a ridiculous amount of, and apparently it was very risky, and they basically gave SolEnd Labs emergency powers to liquidate the assets of the whale. Now, that may sound good to me and you, but think about this if you're the whale. You have all this Solana acquired, planning on selling it, and then they come in and are like, oh, hey, yeah, you can't do this anymore. So while the result may be good, and maybe this did save us from hitting $20 Solana, the issue at hand here is that what actually went down with the whale showed a major lack of decentralization in the Solana ecosystem, and I could see that being a big problem down the road. But NFTs, that's what you guys care about the most. What goes down with the NFTs? Well, guys, to be honest with you, despite all of the blood in the market right now, the major players on the Solana blockchain that basically keep this all glued together are performing quite fine. You may take a look at something like DGods, and man, a floor of 330 is not very bad, given the fact that we basically saw the entire market, including Bitcoin and Ethereum, take an absolute nosedive over the past week or two. Going from a floor of like 370 to 330 really isn't all that bad. So the dips in the major blue chip NFTs are really more resemblant of a smaller NFT sort of crash as opposed to a massive market crash like it's going on with Bitcoin and Ethereum. You could say the same thing if you took a look at OK Bears, sitting a little around 100 at any given time here with the current floor price. And we're actually seeing new projects like Primates actually surge in price and volume. This project really came out of nowhere, was very unexpected, but the analytics and activity for this project is very, very impressive, given the fact the activity has just increased so dramatically. So definitely an awful lot of volume, awful lot of people involved in this project as well. So it is the old and it is the new that are also succeeding. Another indicator of whether or not Solana NFTs are going to stick around is the question of how many people are still minting them. How many people are actually still interested in creating a Solana NFT for themselves? Because if you guys may remember with Terra Luna, a major issue before the whole catastrophe happened with Terra Luna was that people really weren't interested in creating NFTs on the chain. And I don't really know why, but for some reason, Solana really did pull in a lot of new investors and a lot of new NFT creators when it first started gaining popularity back around last July, last August. So if we take a look at a lot of new launches, including a lot of very low budget launches here, like say Launch My NFT, where a lot of very small projects are getting their start, you guys will know that there are a ton of options here. There are still so many projects that are trying to get their foot off the ground, so many new collections, brand new mints that are coming out literally every minute. So definitely not a lot of decline in terms of volume of creation. People are still building projects, they're still building teams. I still get inquiries all the time from NFTs that want to work with me on the channel. So it's hard to say that this entire process here is dead, because honestly it's not. Same thing of course with launchpads. The Magic Eden launchpad right now is still having a ton of pretty quality looking projects on it that are actually using the site to launch. You'll also note of course tons of different launchpads out there. Obviously you've got the Soulport launchpad and so many other ones. There are definitely still a good deal of projects that are getting their start. A lot of projects are still minting out. It doesn't look like there's much of an issue with projects minting out as well, so definitely not something I would worry about. I would say the only issue seems to be the meta. What is the move right now, so to speak, in the Solana industry? And guys, that is the one thing that nobody really knows. There are tons of options, like I showed you, of course, on Launch My NFT earlier. There are tons of options on there where people will buy something on the Launch My NFT site, immediately go here to Magic Eden and launch it and flip it. But you'll also see a lot of very popular, a lot of very hot projects that just get launched and flipped. So something like Bubble Goose, people were expecting to have a floor of 20, 30, 40, and now it's sitting at a floor of 9.5. Definitely not bad, but not quite what people were expecting. You can look at project after project here if you wanted to look at Trippin' Apes. That's obviously another one, but there are so many projects on here that are legitimately very good, but just don't have the buy volume to sustain them. They just don't have enough people that want to buy and hold it, as opposed to people that want to buy and flip it. So something like Just Ape as well was expecting to have a floor that was very, very high, and it ends up having a floor of 5.75. So there are so many projects like that out there, and unfortunately it's hard to know when that really will end. Again, the major exception in recent time, of course, has been Primates, which has surged pretty recently, but there are so many projects out there that do not have a fate like Primates, and rather have a fate of something like Trippin' Ape Tribe or Just Ape. So that said, guys, I hope you guys found this video educational. I hope you guys found it useful. Again, make sure to check the Patreon down below in the description. We have so much awesome stuff going on there, especially this month, guys. I'm really trying to bring the value over there in terms of whitelist access and so much more. So definitely awesome stuff down below in the description on the Patreon. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Matt, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.